All right, let's get right into it. Melania Trump. For years, she has been one of the most private, public figures out there. I mean, her whole image is built on control, on keeping her distance. But now, whispers are starting to surface. Whispers that suggest a crack is forming in that carefully guarded inner circle. A circle that's supposed to be built on one thing: trust.
And that's really the question at the heart of all this. According to our sources, the answer isn't about some big, splashy headline. Nope. It's about what goes on behind closed doors, away from the cameras.
And that's what makes this so fascinating, right? The person at the very center of this storm is someone whose entire public strategy has been, well, silence. So you have to ask, what could possibly be going on that's powerful enough to shake that foundation? To really get why this is such a big deal, we first have to understand the gap between the image she's built and the rumors that are now starting to leak out.
I mean, just look at this. The contrast is night and day. On one side, you've got the public image we all recognize: controlled, quiet, always a little distant. But then, on the other side, these private whispers are painting a totally different picture, one filled with tension, conflict, and mistrust.
And this goes against everything we know about her. Her history shows this pattern of extreme control. We're talking a super tight inner circle. Very, very few people get direct access to her. She's always been incredibly selective about who she trusts. So for that level of control to just slip, something's up. You know, a legal team isn't just a bunch of advisors you call up. They're your protectors. They're strategists. They're the people you trust with your most sensitive information. For a client this high profile, it's basically like putting your entire reputation in their hands. Which brings us to the key question. For someone so guarded, what on earth could happen to make her question the very people she hired to defend her? Well, all the speculation seems to point to one thing: a major disagreement over strategy. This is likely where all that quiet tension is coming from. So picture this. You've got two very different legal paths. Path A is her classic playbook: stay silent, protect your privacy, avoid giving the media anything to chew on. But then there's path B, which is way more proactive. Get out ahead of it, control the narrative, and stop negative stories before they can spread. Neither one is necessarily wrong, but they are completely at odds with each other. You know, trust doesn't usually shatter in one big moment. It erodes. It's a slow burn. It starts with a simple disagreement over strategy. Then you start to question the advice you're getting. Hesitation and doubt start creeping in. And before you know it, the whole foundation of that relationship just feels wobbly. And it's so important to remember, none of this is happening in a bubble. Her legal issues are completely tangled up in the constant media storm around Donald Trump. That means every single move her team makes has to navigate those incredibly choppy waters. This all leads us to the moment where that quiet tension reportedly turned into something more. The moment a decision was made, and there was just no going back. It wouldn't be some loud, dramatic confrontation. It would be a shift. Just a subtle, quiet, but irreversible change in direction that tells everyone something has fundamentally broken. And the signs would probably be things we'd never see. A sudden refusal to take advice that she'd normally follow. A subtle change in tone behind closed doors, or a decision that just completely goes against the established plan. It would be a move that says, without saying a word, that the old way of doing things is over. And this really is the heart of it, isn't it? You can fix a disagreement, you can change a strategy, but once that fundamental trust is gone, especially when the stakes are this high, well, that's something that's incredibly hard to get back. So now the story starts to move out of those private rooms. Because once whispers like this start, even in subtle ways, they rarely stay hidden for very long. And this is exactly how it happens. The media starts connecting the dots, analysts start asking questions, and suddenly, a private conflict becomes a public narrative, whether she wants it to or not. So this leads to the big, unavoidable question. After all these years of silence and control, why now? What was the trigger? Was there one specific event that became the final straw? What exactly changed? And maybe most importantly, if she really is breaking with her team's advice, what does that mean for her strategy from here on out? You know, stories like this almost never come out of nowhere. They build, they grow, and sometimes they end up revealing something that absolutely nobody saw coming. Which leaves us all with one final question to think about.
Is this just a temporary disagreement, or is this the first little sign of something much, much bigger on the horizon?